small business is exempt for now from requirements to protect personal information and also disclose how it's being used. But as a review of the Privacy Act in the wake of cyber attacks that exposed personal data, there's a case to be made to change that. The government is mulling that over. Joining me live now is Matthew Addison, the Chair of the Council of Small Business Organisations Australia. Thanks for your time. So it's a 20-year exemption. I ran through exactly what it covers at the moment. Do you think it's fair enough that maybe this exemption should end, given concerns around privacy?
Look, we would be on board with the world is different today. So when this was last reviewed, when the exemption was put in, times have shifted, cases have shifted, cybersecurity issues have arisen. So we don't disagree with the principle of more protection behind data. We don't disagree with the question that's being asked. But what we're looking for is a true understanding of the impact of these increased regulations on small business. What we have is that smallest of small business, the person that employs one other person. They're running an enterprise and all of a sudden they've got some data. If we apply big business regulation to that individual, they're saying, why would I be in business?
So what's an actual example of that? You know, give me a specific, you don't need to give a name, you know, a business, a type of business, what data they'll have and what they might have to do if the regulation changes.
Look, an example that hit me this morning, Tom, was a school with the very best intention of digitising some of their processes. They emailed out all their parent database with access to a new app and gave all those parents the same password. So immediately you've got an environment where one parent who knows your email address can access your records. So we've got a breach of a situation going on there. We've got access to data that I shouldn't have because it's your data, but I've got access. Now the question for the school might be, where's that app hosted? Where's the data hosted? There's a whole lot of implications here for a small business. So small business, we're on a journey of digitising small business. It's the right journey. It's the right journey across the country. We see digital as a solution. What this regulation would do if we imposed it today was stifle the adoption of digital techniques.
I mean, that school should have a program, you know, where it gives you a random password. What's the small business hiring one person that you spoke of before? What would be the impact on it, as an example?
So right now, I fear that they will bury their head in the sand and they won't comply. It doesn't matter what regulation you bring in, because it is so burdensome.
And what's burdensome? So there are two elements. Protecting the data of customers and revealing how it's used. Let's tackle them individually. Revealing how it's used, I mean, if it's a small cafe and you're getting an email address for, I don't know, to get regular alerts or something, can't you just have a disclaimer at the bottom? We use your data to send you alerts, that's it? I mean,
so it's more than a disclaimer though. Where this full implementation of these regulations goes, is it's more than a disclaimer on the bottom of a form. It's, have you actually got the techniques to protect your data? Do you know where your data is stored? Is it encrypted? So there's a whole lot of learning for that very small business, that one person. What apps am I using? What point of sale software am I using? Now, we've been on a great journey of putting that point of sale, those digital terminals at every cafe, at every outlet. Where does that data go? Where are the credit card numbers stored?
Well, don't they need to know that and protect them anyway? So
that's the education path we're on. What do we do now? We buy a quick solution, we put it in, and it's efficient.
As in you have an app. You just go, I'll store everything in this app, and this is asking people to know what that app does, where it's stored, is it safe? I mean, is there anything wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with the principle of it. But what these regulations do is bring a whole lot more detail, a whole lot more steps to the smallest of businesses. And what's the environment right now? Smallest of businesses are doing it tough. Now, we can have the inflation discussion, but their cost of doing business is up. Energy prices are up, cost of labour is up. And what's happening is they're running at the same price point, but their margins are gone because their cost of doing business is up.
But is the big issue at the moment, let's get into the inflation aspect, because is the big issue at the moment too, every household's sort of on the hunt to eliminate spending if they can, to save a bit of money. And discretionary spending is often the first to go. Maybe you don't need a coffee, maybe you make one at home. I'll take my lunch in, I won't get a sandwich today. Is that having a big impact yet on these small
Absolutely.
businesses?
So a great example is the hairdressers or the barbers are going, their customers aren't coming in every 4 weeks now, they're coming in every 6 or 8 weeks. Just because that discretionary spending, they're watching their costs, so they're not going and seeking those services. As you say, the coffee is not 4 coffees a day, they might be down to 1.
4's a lot. I'm not sure if there's a health issue with that, but 2's probably okay. There's my health advice for the day. Are you worried the RBA is so focused on inflation, it would prefer a small, quote, small recession versus inflation getting out of control? And from a macro point of view, that's great, but from a micro point of view, that'll mean businesses going to the wall?
I think where you're going, Tom, is a real understanding or a real comprehension that it's hurting small business. So I won't get into the debate about what the RBA should be doing, but
You're free to, though. Do you have a view on how hawkish Phil Lowe has been in particular? You know, we're reading the minutes of how many more rates they're determined to sort of put in the system. No, I'm not going to go there. Okay.
The economists have had better answers on that one. They look behind the numbers a little bit more. I'm not going to criticise where the RBA has been and the journey they've been on. Recent reports say that they're looking at the slowdown in GDP numbers and such things that came out yesterday, and they're considering that. So although we've got 3 more increases advised,
Slated, yeah.
maybe they'll be reconsidered. If the community, if the economic indicators indicate the right trend in inflation.
I might read between the lines and saying you're hoping for caution.
Oh, look, no question I'm after caution.
Yeah.
Small business need RBA, we need government to look at the next year with real caution of the smallest of business.
Diplomatic, but I think we got there on your true feelings. Matthew,
Thanks, Tom.
thank you.